Good morning and welcome, Patriot News Hour. Joe and Jason on this Thursday. Yeah, Thursday. It's going by, right? One more day to Friday. I hope it finds you well out there. Our toll-free number, 800-951-0592. I know you guys know it. Get in. Well, the getting's good. That's kind of the mantra right now is we're going to get, I think, some clarity. By the way, no surprise. The deal, no deal. Shocker, right? Iran doesn't want to give up its nuclear stuff. So we're back to oil being higher and all this other nonsense out there. But what we're doing is preparing for what comes after. AllAmericanGold.com is the website. Once again, I'm going to try to do it every day. The big Texit meeting where we're going to have the big shots from Texit in town. Come prepared. Bring your frustrations, your questions. All of you that want to hear it from the horse's mouth. June 5th in Colorado. We're going to have the meeting at 7 o'clock in Colorado. Location to be determined. We'll do it at the radio station, but I think we're going to have too many people. And if that's the case, we'll go somewhere else. And remember, they're going to feed you the whole 9 yards. In Phoenix, it'll be June 15th. For those of you in Phoenix, go ahead and start calling here and let us know you're coming. And if you're bringing a significant other or a buddy, whatever it may be, that is Monday. We'll also do it at 7 o'clock at a location to be determined. What I'm trying to do is keep it close to the freeway. And you know how our freeways are. They're all connected. So try to make it easy. We've got a large group, obviously. So some of you are going to have to drive a little farther. But that is June 15th for Phoenix, Northern Colorado, June 5th. So that is a Friday in Colorado, 7 o'clock. It is a Monday here in the Valley of the Sun, also at 7 o'clock. All right, now that we've done that, what the heck is going on? We've got the Supreme Leader, according to Reuters, ordered apparently, now they're saying that he's going bin Laden. That's the latest now. The new Supreme Leader, the one that we didn't get killed, almost blew him up, maybe, right? All kinds of rumors, that he maybe he got a little facial disfigured. Some reports said he lost a leg, and then other reports say, the guy's fine. I don't know. But apparently he's gone into a cave, right, because that's where bin Laden was, and nobody knows where he is. But he said that the enriched uranium to remain strictly inside of Iran. So that was the latest there. Also, U.S. intelligence saying that Iran has reconstructed its drone program faster than expected. So, now, there you go. So, you know the drill. So what does that mean? Bonds are up. Oil is up, right? Gold and silver are down. Wall Street is down, right? That whole chestnut. The bigger things, though, we did hear from Walmart. Walmart earnings were out, and a little worrisome in this regard. Walmart is saying, hey, the high gas prices is definitely having an effect for sales at Walmart. Shares are down about 7% this morning. It wasn't terrible. I mean, their earnings were in line. But the CEO of Walmart said that the higher tax returns have been spent mostly on fuel, and now that money is gone. So Walmart's saying, hey, a lot of, right, the big tax cuts, Walmart says they're keeping a close eye on it, but they did not give good guidance for the rest of the year. It will be sales decline will be larger in the second quarter if fuel prices stay where they are. We are absorbing the prices, try and maintaining our guidance. However, this was the third time in 16 quarters Walmart did not beat quarterly expectations. So again, a lot of questions now about GDP, because obviously, let's face it, Walmart is a great indicator of that. When we get back, the Kevin Warsh nominee becomes official tomorrow. Some leaks about what he wants to try to do. That's coming up next. 800-951-0592, Patriot News Hour. Joe and Jason on this Thursday. A quick look in at the markets. The Dow's down 120. The NASDAQ down 140. The S&P down 28. The 10-year note 461. Okay, so we're hanging in the, around and near, remember, 466. That is the key. The new key number was 440. That fell. Break above, now Treasury to 461. If we break above 466, they're expecting 5%. By the way, nothing more important. The 10-year yield, probably the most important metric out there. Crude oil's up a little over $3, back above 101, almost $102 on NYMEX, right? 108 on Brent, as apparently a message came out of a cave from the supreme leader that the uranium's going to stay in Iran. Right now, gold down 30. 45, 15, right at this 4,500 level. It's a great entry point into that. And the cool part, when we look at the big move that gold and silver had, and now we've had this period of consolidation, those 200-day moving averages keep moving up. So now the gold 200-day moving average, 43.50. So that's a really big kind of support level. So right here at 4,500, which seems where gold doesn't like to go below, a really good entry point. Silver, again, silver's kind of at the, I don't know that it matters that much anymore. It's down 30 cents, right? Not a lot. 75.42 right now on silver. And again, silver inventories, gold inventories, incredibly low. Incredibly low, especially silver more so, right? We know now we've got more than just the war to worry about. Now we've got a bond market issue to worry about. And that is something where what is going to happen when Kevin Warsh takes over at the Federal Reserve? I think the final deal is tomorrow. One of the things that is now coming back here as inflation, and are we headed for something like the 70s? I hope not. For whatever reason, I don't see the Trump administration wanting to resume the fight. Right? It almost seems like we're just going to keep trying to choke them here. And, of course, that just chokes everybody. It's going to definitely bring a lot more inflation. And we just saw it this week. It is now forcing countries. We knew China was selling treasuries. But now it is forcing a lot of the world to start. I think everybody was caught off guard by the size of the Japanese sell-off of U.S. treasuries. I don't know why they're surprised, but they were. But Kevin Warsh, so here's his comments about inflation. Once you let inflation take hold in the economy, it's more expensive and harder to bring down. So the fatal policy error going back 4 or 5 years is still a legacy that we're dealing with. Hardworking Americans are no doubt feeling it. So, what's he doing there? Hey, Jay Powell didn't do his job, right? That's number one. Hey, they haven't dealt with this for years. The idea that we want them to lower, well, I say we. The thought is that the Warsh regime is going to go in lower rates, right? Donald Trump wanted 1%. Notice you don't hear 1% anymore. However, there are rumors circulating that Kevin Warsh may try to re-shrink the balance sheet in exchange for trying to lower the rates. I think that's a wishful thinking plan. I would love to see him try it. That would be great. That would be great because it won't work. And why is that great? If you have gold and silver, that would be a wonderful thing. So right now we're in an era where we can't sell enough. We're issuing more and more debt. And now they want to, hey, how about we can lower rates, but we'll fight inflation by lowering the balance sheet from quantitative easing. Of course, that technically puts money out into the economy. I mean, Jason, that's kind of the opposite. One of the reasons why the Fed does quantitative easing, right, is obviously to take pressure off of the bond market, but then they get to keep that money tied up, in their little private bank.
Don't trust anything, and it sure sounds like from listening to what you're saying, Kevin Warsh is, I guess, Trump got the guy he wanted that'll come out and say derogatory things about the last guy.
Right.
Who's sitting on the board with him. So I don't really think there's
last guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jay Powell.
Jay Powell's sitting there still, so I don't know if this is actual infighting, if this is just to get people that understand that the central bank is a horrible. But I guess if you cause, I know, I'll bet Warsh and Powell probably sit down and eat lunch together regularly. That's just my guess.
Yeah. Oh, listen. I think they are actually good friends.
Right.
That's my opinion.
But if the media starts portraying two Fed guys infighting and having wars against each other, then it gives people that understand central bank is the end of freedom in America, it gives them that little hope, doesn't it, Joe? That, well, hey, maybe there's someone here who's going to fight for us. And maybe the central bank will turn into a better, happier central bank and will give us our money back and give us our freedom back. I've never heard of an infighting in the Fed. I mean, there's different opinions. Hey, we should raise rates. Maybe we should lower rates. But
yeah, that is uncommon, right?
I think they're trying to play a game.
And one of the other things he's been talking about all of a sudden, remember they told us how the money supply didn't matter? The M1, the M2. Matter of fact, it matters so little, we won't even report it anymore. And you've got to go in and do it yourself, right? You got to go in and data mine the data to come up with a number. All of a sudden, Kevin Warsh is starting to talk about the M2 money supply and saying we've got to start watching that because we're printing too much money and it's causing inflation. Really, Sherlock? Wow. Why do I bring this up? I only bring this up because they have no tools like they say they do. They don't. They only have one. They like to give it different names. It's just debt. The M1 and the M2 money supply, what is that? Debt. It's debt. What is quantitative easing? Debt. Quantitative tightening? Debt. Right? Reverse repo. Debt. Repo. Debt. Right? They love to give different names for the very same thing. And now the question really is, when is it going to break? Right? Under the surface, we've talked about it for the last few weeks. Record numbers of stocks hitting 52-week lows. The smallest number of stocks ever created new all-time highs. We got a huge bubble in South Korea, right? We're bad in Japan. South Korea may be the worst bubble of all of them right now. But behind it, guys, let's start looking behind it. Private credit, you've heard us talking about it. Subprime auto lending, we're now back to where we were, and actually it's a little worse than the financial crisis. When we look at mortgages, and in particular what I'm talking about is repossessions. Just last month alone, 42,000 homes were taken back by the bank. That is obviously, it's not at the height of the financial crisis, but we're back now to properties starting to go back to these banks, and we're seeing that same type of growth, right? Is it? Oh my gosh, we're at really extreme levels. No, we're not at extreme levels, but we are so far off of the bottom now. Now we're getting back into repossessions are getting back to where they would be in a normal economy. But of course, Jason, we don't have a normal economy. Very interesting how it's going to work as private credit continues to deteriorate behind the scenes. The bond market continues to struggle. And the guy that's going to take over at the Fed, so far, the only thing he can do is blame the other guy.
That is the only play that
blame the other guy.
Well, here's the thing, Joe, and like I said, I mentioned as you read Kevin Warsh's comments, I said, well, it sure looks like they're airing dirty laundry out. Yeah. They're actually saying that guy's a fool, that guy's terrible. When's the last time I heard that? Oh, yes, the president likes to say that about all the previous presidents. It's a new habit that's been starting the last few presidents. But it speaks of hey, things aren't going to be so good for the average guy, so let's give them a choice of which guy they like, and so that way they have a guy that they believe is fighting for them. It's to me with Thomas Massey losing the election Tuesday, and now you're having Fed chiefs having a war of words with each other, or at least on one side. It sure seems like they're cleaning out as much dissension as they can from real smart people that actually know what's going on, and then they're trying to give you one puppet to root for, so that when things go really bad, well, it was Jerome Powell's fault. No, it's Kevin Warsh's fault. It's Trump's fault. No, it's the new guy's fault.
Yes, ma'am.
800-951-0592, Patriot Radio News Hour. Again, we're going to do it again. We got gold down here, $45.10. $20 gold pieces, $45.95. How about this? 10 or more, $45.75. 10 or more on $20 gold pieces today. 800-951-0592. Keep adding to the portfolio. We got two things happening. So, the numbers that we got the other day about Japan, China, and central bank selling of treasuries, kind of interesting. We had some central banks selling gold, yet other central banks buying gold. And then Goldman Sachs comes out and says, oh, by the way, they are buying more gold than they said. They just don't want to say anything. Then I was wondering, I'm wondering where they're getting all the money for the gold. Right? How well, you don't get it. Have you figured it out yet? Guys, they're selling treasuries, whether they need to or not. Now, a lot of them need to. But these were March numbers. March. The war just started. Right? When did it start? Like the last week of February? Is there any chance that these numbers get better for the bond market? I would say no. Now, I guess there could be a chance. But if they had to sell bonds in March to buy oil to a lot of these countries, right, they're trying not to pass the prices on. Right? India is a great example. Even South Korea, Japan, right? They don't want to pass these prices on. So what happens? The government pays for it. Well, how are they paying for it? Well, pretty simple. Let's sell some debt. Whose debt? How about the U.S. Treasury debt? So my guess is these numbers probably get worse in April, worse in May. The longer this goes on, I think the bigger the problem becomes, Jason, right? This is something where a lot of these nations now, they have no more, they're out of choices, right? It's they don't have, the one thing the U.S., we have the printing press, right? At least we have a little bit of leeway. But right now, what the rest of the world is telling the United States, the cost of your printing press is getting more expensive. Because we've got our own problems to deal with. Think about it. The Japanese 30-year note, it's the highest of all time. It's never been higher. So what do they got to do? Well, gosh, we can't keep issuing all the... and don't get me wrong, they're still issuing more debt. Just not as much as they want to, right? So what do they got to do? It looks like selling U.S. Treasuries seems to be the answer. And it makes the most sense, doesn't it, Jason?
That's right. So less dollars, right, Joe? Less dollars being purchased. So, the Fed and the U.S. government's got to figure out, well, where are we going to put this stuff? It's always about where are we going to put this stuff? Well, why don't we just start a war with Iran and bottleneck all the oil that's coming out of there, all the other stuff that's coming out of there, and we'll force everybody to make a deal, right? Make a deal. And those deals will all have to be stacked up with using dollars. On Venezuela, you're like, Venezuela could have happened 10 years ago. Why do they do the blockade this year, right, Joe? Why do they wait so long? They tried to do it the easy way, and then what happened? Well, fortunately, unfortunately, I don't really like either side. But remember a few years ago, Biden was buying oil from Venezuela. Do you remember that, Joe?
Yeah.
I'm guessing pricing that in dollars. I'm guessing a deal was struck. Hey, Venezuela, and I don't have all the particulars. I'm guessing, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. Hey, we're going to ease up these sanctions, and we're going to start getting some of that oil out of there for you. And all you have to do is just make sure that some of these shipments going out, make sure that some of these countries buy at least half of your stuff in dollars. Would you do that for us? You know, and Donald Trump stomped in, and we know about Biden and Donald Trump. I know that they work for the same people. It's the same thing. You know, Trump has to act like that it was a weak deal, and look what he's doing, so I'm going to go stomp on Venezuela, and what happens? He strikes the same deal. In fact, he strikes probably a worse deal, which is, would you please, Venezuela, we'll come in and spend a bunch of money and give you all kinds of favors. You just got to sell it in dollars.
Let me
and it was done.
Let me give you a flavor for what we're talking about. See, this is how great numbers are. Do you know that when they now talk about how much debt foreign governments hold, at the beginning of March, it was 9.49. See, that doesn't sound like much, does it? It's just 9.49. They don't show all the zeros. It's 9.49.
Yeah.
Of course, then they say trillion after it. And then they say it ended the month at 9.25. And so all of us, I know we went to public school, most of us out there, but we can do that math. We're like, oh, that's not that bad. Right? 949 to 925. Come on, Joe. Why are you making a big deal? Let me tell you why I'm making a big deal. That's $240 billion in a single month that all of a sudden had to be bought by somebody else.
Had to be shoved somewhere. It used to be shoved somewhere.
Right. Why are rates going higher? What are these numbers looking like? Right? And you got to remember, this was unexpected selling. Nobody expected $240 billion worth of selling in a month.
And if your foreign buyers are going to start selling like Japan is doing, $29 trillion over a weekend, right? If that's going to happen, then if there's no foreign buyers that are getting excited about treasuries, then what are you going to do? You're going to go to your bank, your big old banking system, not the central banking system, the big banks. And we're going to open up some regulations, Joe, and we're going to let them just borrow away. Unchain those guys and just let them have their own printing presses. The big banks are going to, whatever the criteria is. Maybe the top 50 banks, Joe, I don't know what it is. Definitely the top 6. But they're going to give them a printing press. They're going to give a printing press to the largest banks. You know what the largest banks are going to do? They see it as an opportunity to get rid of all the smaller banks. One big hit.
Boy, the White House. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, it appears people are reporting that Japan has continued to dump treasuries since this report. 800-951-0592, Patriot Radio News Hour. Let me just do something here. I know it's radio. You're like, Joe, you need to talk. Otherwise, it's dead air. Here's what I've got. I just had this come across. I've got $5 AU liberties. $5 gold AU liberties. And I'll do them at 1,060. 1,060. Is that right? No, that is not right. I'm sorry. 1,160. I was like, 1,060 can't be right. $1,160 if you want AU $5 gold liberties. Or of course, AU almost uncirculated. And then, of course, we've got $20 gold, $45.95, 10 or more, $45.75 at 800-951-0592. So the data is going to be interesting. There was a report out today that the United States may have to end the Iran war because of central bank selling around the globe. In other words, it's going to put too much pressure on the treasury markets, and they need to stop the war so the gas prices and the oil prices can go back down, Jason, and these countries can sell less treasuries. I don't know. I don't know when, right? How much time is that? What, 90 days, 60 days, 120 days, a year? I don't know, but people are starting to talk. Listen, guys, I know you don't see it in the stock market yet, but this is how bubbles work. But this is a big deal that's happening in the bond market right now. We didn't, the funny part, we didn't even see this during the financial crisis. This is unprecedented what's happening in the bond market right now.
I think it's possible oil infrastructure all over the Middle East might get knocked out. That's what I think. But because then America has, they don't want to brag about it too much, but especially with Venezuela, there is enough oil to sort of maybe keep the world barely running. And we know it's all going to be sold in dollars. You talk about getting the petrodollar going again. You show the Middle East that, I think Saudi Arabia is still playing, in the dollar worlds. They're still in it. They've wavered, but they're there. So maybe Saudi Arabia gets protected. But maybe everybody else, hey, we'll just wipe them all out. If they're going to sell oil in anything but dollars, we'll just wipe out their oil infrastructure, Joe. Russia's the only one that's not in the Middle East, but I don't think Russia oil.
And of course, and they could have Ukraine.
Hey, we're going to end the Ukraine war, Russia. Would you sell your oil in dollars, and we'll give you half of Ukraine?
Right, and if not, hey, Ukraine, go ahead and keep blowing up the oil infrastructure. So you make it so you only allow just enough Russian oil to be sold to keep things going, right? Because right now, let me tell you about the oil inventory report yesterday, because they kind of hit it, and it was worse than the week before. Drawdowns everywhere, right? So we have, obviously, the strategic oil reserve. It actually set a record. It was the largest 1 week drawdown ever out of our strategic oil reserve. We are now back. We're almost back to the bottom. Remember, we're the Biden bottom of it. We're almost past that. And, of course, we've pledged over 100 million barrels beyond that. Cushing, Oklahoma, right, where the NYMEX operates, we're 11% below last year's levels. And then, of course, gasoline and diesel, well below the 5-year average levels. And this is kind of the thing that everybody, and I think Jason kind of put it right now. And you got to remember, China's actually pumping some out of their reserves. Every country, if they've got reserves, they're pumping it. We probably barely got enough oil right now. As these emergency reserves run out, that's when the real, the next thing, because right now it looks like oil's kind of just sitting there between $100 and $110, right? Just kind of, not, even yesterday with we might have a deal, oil only fell $5. Remember when we have a deal, the first time we had a deal, oil fell like $18.
Until the rest of the world accepts dollars.
Could be.
We're looking like a COVID shutdown is going to happen across the world. COVID shutdown might have been the beta test for what's getting ready to happen, Joe. You know, the last thing, that was a disease. That's not what's going on this time. That was a pandemic. We got to shut down because the oil situation. Until the entire world is so angry with Iran, you get a coalition of countries that, what was it? NATO said maybe in June they'd go attack.
Yeah, July. It was July. Maybe July.
Well, maybe that's when it happens. Everybody has to dollar up and go to war with Iran. Is that what we're looking at? Everybody better dollar up, or else we're going to spank you hard, right? But talk about weaponizing the dollar, Joe.
I'll say this. I'm actually for it because we're in trouble here. We've got to figure out a way to sell some of it, right? We need countries to buy this debt. 800-951-0592, Patriot Radio News Hour. Joe and Jason got a couple of different gold opportunities. AU $5 Liberties, $11.60. $20 gold, 1 through 9, $45.95, 10 or more. $45.75. The 10-year note, 4.62, keeps drifting back into that danger zone that we keep talking about. The Japanese yen, here we go, 159 and a quarter. Are they going to have to intervene again? And remember, they had to intervene a few weeks ago. And they had to they had to do it twice in one day. And Jason, I got to believe, so how do they prop it up? How does Japan prop up the yen? They sell dollars and buy yen. They sell dollars and buy yen, right? To make it look like, oh, look, somebody wants the Japanese yen. Right? Well, who the hell wants the Japanese yen? Well, the Japanese, but nobody else. And when we're talking about what options do these banks have, especially like Japan, they don't have gold, dummies, right? At least Turkey had gold to sell, right? Japan doesn't have gold to sell. South Korea doesn't have gold to sell. England doesn't have gold to sell. Do they? And when you look at the holdings, yeah, they hold some euros, but it's a pittance. It's not enough. And then all the rest of them, the pound sterling, the yen, even the Chinese renminbi, it's a pittance. There really is only one play. Sell treasuries. That's how poorly these countries have managed themselves. You know, Jason and I say it all the time because there's a lot of people out there, when they got to sell, they hate selling. They hate it. But you know what we always tell them? At least you had it to sell, right? At least you had it to sell. And these countries don't, Jason. I think that this is becoming a really big problem.
I think it's been a big problem. You have an old economic system that either needs to be changed or replaced. And look, you got a lot of centrally banked countries that their central banks are all working together on this thing. And sometimes the governments that aren't America, I think they have a little bit more independent thinking, believe it or not, in these other nations. And what does a government do? Say, hey, we're having some financial issues. Let's do some things. Let's change some things. We need to dump these dollars, right? And that's when the central banker comes in and taps them on the shoulders. Like, wait a minute. They're like, well, yeah, okay. Well, I know that you are financially superior and you have a lot of influence over what we do, but I don't think our population is going to do too well, and we need to dump these dollars. And so, what do you do with your children? Because I think that's what the governments of the world are. They're children to the system, Joe. They just block the Strait of Hormuz.
Guess what?
Buy up all the oil.
Breaking news. Turkey has liquidated almost all of its U.S. dollars.
Oh, no, man. Uh-oh.
Wow. Wow. 800-951-0592.
It's a run on the bank, Joe. It's a run on the bank.